In 1937, José Arturo Castellanos, an influential army colonel from the country of El Salvador, is sent on a weapons-buying mission to Czechoslovakia. The Salvadoran regime considers Castellanos a rising political rival. To prevent his return, he is appointed to a series of diplomatic posts throughout Europe. While stationed in Liverpool, England, José Arturo Castellanos disobeys direct orders and issues the first Salvadoran visas, allowing Jews to escape persecution. He continues to defiantly issue the life-saving visas even on German soil while serving in Hamburg, Germany in 1941. José Arturo Castellanos, together with his first secretary, George Mandel Mantello, began one of the greatest rescue missions of World War II, a humanitarian effort to save European Jews from the Nazi death camps. This is the story of the Salvadoran Papers of Freedom and José Arturo Castellanos, righteous among the nations, who refused to do nothing in the face of evil.
Castellanos, first of all, saved Mantello. It was Castellanos who brought him to Switzerland. It was also Castellanos who saved his son by giving passports not only to George, but to his son Enrico. Castellanos made him first secretary of the Salvadoran consulate in Geneva. This position hadn't existed before. It was made up specifically to give a job for Mantello.
Arturo made him a Salvadoran, which actually saved our lives because my father could stay in Switzerland, I could join him in Switzerland, and that avoided most likely or probable deportation from Hungary camps. So a lot of my family survived also, even through camps. Well, my full name is very complicated because when I became a Salvadoran, it suffered some changes. Originally, my name was Imre Mandel. And then when my father received the Salvadoran nationality, he added Mantello to Mandel, so it became Mandel Mantello.
They sent the papers with a friend of Mantello, not a Gentile, called Manoliu, Romanian, and he went back to Romania with the papers. Nobody was there anymore. They were all gone. Nevertheless, Mantello and Castellanos decided that maybe there are other people that are not gone yet, and they decided to make a little factory.
My name is Katharina Pollock, P-O-L-A-K. My maiden name is Soep, S-O-E-P. When I found that certificate in my mother's closet, a bulb went off in my head and I kept on thinking back, and that explained to me why we had ended up in this compound of South American certificates owning people. Germans had great respect for typed and sealed and stamped and signed papers, and that's what we had, although I didn't know it at the time.
The Swiss represented the American and British citizens, And at the beginning, they were reticent to represent El Salvador. And your grandfather and my dad sort of worked on this, so that the Swiss decided to accept the representation of El Salvador interests in Hungary.
In January of 1945, the Germans agreed to release about 200 foreign nationals that were being held in Bergen-Belsen. Among these were two families with Salvadoran papers. One of them, the family of Julius Joseph, he, his wife, and his two sons all survived as a result of their Salvadoran papers. And the son later became the chief of mission for the Israelis on the Space Shuttle Columbia.
This 13-year-old child has now become a distinguished professor at Tel Aviv University. That is Professor Joachim Yoya. I think that represents the nation of Israel's ability to survive from dark and dismal days to days of hope and a glitter of a future.
Yad Vashem was established by a law of the Knesset of the Israeli Parliament in 1953. It is the central memorial created by the Jewish people and the State of Israel to the Holocaust, a world center of education, research, documentation, and commemoration. Your grandfather, like many of the righteous, in fact, felt they were doing the natural thing. But these were people who, in extraordinary times, acted extraordinarily. They believed that the extraordinary situation called for an extraordinary response.
They decided to help as many of George's friends as possible, but then the friends told the friends, and the friends told other friends, and then this news spread.
I think they did something like for 10,000, 12,000 people at least, papers. Then they were copied by the Hungarian Zionist boys in Budapest, so there must have been about 20,000 Salvadorans. Of course, the Germans didn't know anymore where Salvador was, in a sense, you know. And a lot of people survived, more than one would know.
Could have looked himself in the mirror and said, I'm a good person, I'm an ethical person, and there's nothing I can do for these people of a different religion, of different nationalities, people who he'd never seen.
If Colonel Castellanos was with us today, what would you say to him?
I would say, Mr. Castellanos, I think that because of your work and your endeavors, that we were saved in the end.
I would do what I usually did, you know, he was very chubby, and I usually gave him a kiss. Arturo.
Look, even in such terrible days, don't lose your humanity. Look, there was a person that did it. Look, there were a few other persons that did it. From my point of view, I have the honor to host you as grandsons of such a big person. Don't forget to tell your story. You have a big mission.